everyone. I'm in one of the most relaxing places that I can possibly be at the moment. This is a Scots pine woodland, well, predominantly Scots pine. It's managed for commercial purposes and for amenity, so it's very good for this area. Now, there is a small deciduous section of this woodland, but it's very small compared to the rest of it. This Scots pine is amazing, and there's a huge specimen left from what I would presume was the original planting that wasn't harvested. But this must have been planted between 50 and 80 years ago, and it's well managed, thinned out. Anyway, I wanted to talk about meditation and general meditative practice that you can do anywhere. An easy fix. Well, there's no real easy fix for it, but no shortcut, so to speak. But as soon as you understand it, you can start to experiment with it, and it's well worth experimenting with, because people say that you should use meditation when you're in a stressful situation, and quite frankly, if you're not familiar with meditation practice, then you really won't be able to use that in a stressful situation. I have tried this myself, and it's practically impossible to apply if you're under stress. So the first thing to do is come to a place where you don't feel stressed, a place that's peaceful and tranquil. And there's been some relatively new research recently on heart rate variability, and heart rate variability is quite key to meditation, really. It changes your brain waves when your heart rate variability increases. So the gap, the millisecond gap between each beat, they found out that the less variable that gap is, the more stressed the person is, and their brain waves actually change to a more stressed brainwave activity. So then there's some interesting stuff on the vagus nerve recently. The vagus nerve's the biggest nerve in the body. It runs throughout the body, and how the vagus nerve actually controls your heart rate to a certain extent. I mean, it's autonomic, the heart rate, but you can control it, and you can increase the variability quite easily. That's what I'm going to tell you here. So the heart's a funny piece of kit, really. It is controlled by your autonomic nervous system, so it's controlled automatically, as you probably are aware, unless you're dead. But it's very much under the control of your breathing, and I first experienced this when I was very young. And what I did is, you know how young people are experimental and idiotic sometimes. I put my head into a cushion, and I breathed in, and then put my head in the cushion and breathed out very, very slowly. And I noticed my heart stopped for some time, and I thought, what the hell is that? And then I continued breathing out slowly, and it beat, and then it stopped for a time, and then it beat again. Now, if you're not familiar with feeling your heart rate or your heartbeat, then this, you can learn to feel it just by focusing, but it does help if you learn to feel your heartbeat. And it's there's a few studies that pointed out that young, fit males particularly seem to be more familiar with this feeling, which is interesting, because women are generally better at feeling things in their bodies. Anyway, so on the breath in, you want to try and make that breath as short as possible, and then on the breath out, quite a long breath out. As long as it's longer than the breath in, that's a good place to start, because on the breath out, your vagus nerve takes more of a control over your heart. Sorry, your vagus nerve is not in control of your heartbeat, or has a lesser control of it. This is how you can learn to control your own heartbeat with breathing, because people say, you know, all this bellows breathing, all these breathing exercises, breathe into your core, breathe into your balls. What does it mean? Well, it basically means your in breath is very short and your out breath is very long. That's all you need to know to get yourself started. And you can force this in stressful situations. You can force your mind to develop these more meditative brainwave profiles, and you can do it that way, but it's far easier to get yourself into a situation where you're not stressed. Depends what type of person you are. Maybe a nice bath with some bath salts, maybe in the garden, maybe even, I doubt, work, but some people respond to that, not very many, but start with this breathing exercise. It's very, very interesting indeed. Another thing you can do is use vision. So there's been quite a bit of research over the past 5 years into vision, our visual cortex, how it links to the brain and how it can actually affect the brain. You can use it to manipulate your brain waves, arguably. So, and it's all down to evolution really, but we have an area in the center of our eye that is called the fovea, and the fovea is the most high definition part of the eye. It's central, and the outside is much lower kind of acuity. So that very high acuity section, we can actually switch between these two sections, and you can do it yourself. If you're looking at a landscape or anything for that matter, you can fix your eyes in the center and monitor the outside. Now your brain does this automatically, but by thinking and fixing, you can feel when you switch from foveal vision, high acuity, to the lower, more relaxing outside view. And they did some research into this, quite extensive research, where they hooked people up to machines. So they took groups of people focusing on high acuity and then groups of people focusing on the big picture, and they measured their brain waves. And these people were in a situation that was non-stressful, obviously, and they were able to change their brainwave composition by doing this exercise. And they were not considered experts on meditation. They had no real experience of meditative practice, but even so, they could adjust their brainwaves just by doing this exercise. And it makes sense as well, because we need our high acuity vision when we are in danger. If we're not in danger, or we're not hunting something, we don't need high acuity vision. So our body is almost programmed to relax in that state where we're looking at the big picture of the world. So even at work in the afternoon, if you're feeling tired, just take a minute, take 5 minutes or so, and focus on a very, very small point. Could be a meter away, could be 2 meters away, maybe a pin on a board, or something very small that takes a lot of energy to focus on. Focus on that, and you'll find after 5 minutes or so, you'll be renewed. You'll feel like you had a cup of coffee. And eventually you'll get so good at this, that you'll be able to switch to a more meditative brain wave profile on command. But you need time alone, that's another thing. Not many people have time alone these days, so I know it's difficult, but if you want to be the best version of yourself or increase your performance, if you're working, or even your performance within your family, then you know it's good practice to take some time out to yourself where you can think about thinking and practice a little bit of meditation. Then you'll be able to apply it outside, when you're with family, with people at work, and you will get the performance benefits, no doubt. And it's not just about performance either, it's about living a productive life, a profitable life for yourself. And the whole practice really is progressive as well, so you will get further benefits as you learn your mind and how to control things. But again, one of the most important things is the heart, so learn to listen to your heart, and not emotionally, obviously emotionally as well, but I'm talking about the physicalities of it. Learn to listen to your heart, and feel what's going on when your heart is in these situations. You can actually buy a device, now a heart rate variability monitor. Now these are very, very good, and they give you auditory return on what your heart is doing, and they give you visually what your heart rate variability is. So if you want to progress super fast, again, it depends on you as a person, then you can get one of these monitors. They're available online, check them out.